Hello, in this video we're going to take a close look at some of the view bindings that are in our single player leaderboard demo that we call Coin Flipper. So specifically we're going to look at animation view binding, text input view binding, and text view binding. So let's get this game started, and you'll notice that when I hit flip we have this animation, and that's done with the animation view binding. And here we have a little input box where I can type my name and it sets it. So that's done with the text input view binding. And we have these indicators for longest streak and current streak, and this value that changes as the data, as the server authenticated state changes. These are text view bindings. So let's see how we can set that up. So if you go into Coin, you'll notice that Coin has an animation view binding, and the variable field points to player.state. So variable is something that you'll see in every one of our view bindings, and that basically tells the view binding where in the data store to look for the data that it's displaying. And player is our player SO, state is a string that says either it says either heads, tails, or flipping. And so what this view binding does is it's going to feed that into this attached animator. So we can take a look at the animator here, and we'll notice it has states, heads, tails, and flipping. So that's what the animation view binding does. Essentially, is it feeds the animator the state that we've set. Now let's take a look at the text input view binding. So as we might recall, it was this guy that sets the username. So go to Canvas, username input field, and you'll see the text input view binding has its variable set to player.username. So whenever player.username gets updated, this value will get updated. The other thing that is worth noting is that you have to have this Unity input field also attached to the same game object that text input view binding is attached to. And so it's just a requirement. A lot of view bindings have this requirement for other things that you have to have attached. And in the case of text input view binding, it is input field. Now you can go ahead and do input field stuff using this input field. For example, what we have is a link to our coinController.set username. So whenever somebody enters data, it's going to call coinController.set username, just like you would expect an input field to do. But in addition to that, because we have our text input VB, it's also going to reset the value to player.username whenever player.username gets updated. Finally, we have our text view binding. So this is this value over here for longest streak and current streak. So let's take a look at that. So it's going to be under longest streak value is a great example. And this is pretty straightforward. Our variable here is player.longeststreak, so that's the value that's going to be reflected. But there's also an interesting feature called replacements. So if our variable looked like this, hello, and then it had the curly braces with a 0, my name is curly braces with a 1, we could actually use replacements to replace this data. And just like we're using variable to set it equal to the value at player.longeststreak, we could come in here and we could say, hey, we have 2 replacements, or 20. And we could go ahead and find, the values we wanted to set the replacement to. So those are the three view components we use to put together our single player leaderboard demo, and we hope that you can use them in your own games. So thank you very much.